This one's for Rachel, fam. He fucking bicycle kicks her in the face. Welcome back to Seeker and Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. I'm your host, Frank.
And I'm Lauren.
Today we're covering the last, final, absolute, back-end, tail-end maximum of Chapter 41. This is our Part 3 episode of Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind.
Let's go?
Wish we hadn't.
Let's
had
not
to
go. Let's not go. Let's not go.
Let's just stay here, where it's safe and a little horny.
Yeah.
And we'll sail off into that good night, never finishing this chapter.
Well, I have nothing to lead us in. I don't have any notes or thoughts or anything of the kind. I think that is potentially being impacted by the
content, maybe a little bit?
heavy heart that I have right now going into this. I don't know. I don't have anything at the top of the episode to say. Do you?
No. Let's just dive into this.
So we can move past it.
Yeah.
Well, let me say, if you guys if you got all the way here, you've been through some shit with us. Maybe you skipped the episode with Darkenrawl and Carl. If that was a decision you made, maybe you might want to skip this one too. Things are not as graphic, like no children are being tortured and murdered in the same...
No.
But bad things happen to the child. The child's involved in inappropriate things, and the child does receive
is summarily punished for that. But
so, anyway, if you're sensitive to that sort of content, feel free to give this one a skip too. As we mentioned in the last episode, it actually doesn't change that much.
You could cut. It's literally 2 pages.
Yeah.
I counted in the middle of this chat.
Right.
You can just, if you snipped them out.
We'd be good.
And just edited them.
You could just change them a little bit.
It doesn't
require much.
And this chapter just is what it is, smacks as it smacks.
But my focus then is going to be on why is it there? Because
of course, yeah.
Because like we said, you can remove it and the story will continue on as it does perfectly fine. Yeah. So the fact that it's there means something.
It does. It means something.
So that's the exploration of the day.
I wish we could skip it, but this is why we're here.
I don't think this is why we're here.
No, we're here to dig into the meat of this weird-ass book.
Okay, well
this is the weird meat.
Here we go.
Listen, this whole chapter we prepared like a big pot of like beautiful chili, right? We got the beans, we got the meat.
Before we talk about chili.
We got...
Keep going.
We got the bean, we diced the celery, the onions, it's looking nice. And then about 4 hours into our 8-hour crock pot for this chili, we just threw a whole shoe in there. And we just we were like, yeah, the shoe's really going to bring this chili together. And I'm left wondering why you put a shoe in my chili.
Yeah, I'm like picturing, I don't know why, like the old beat up shoes on Neopets that are always showing up in the money tree.
Yeah.
There they are. You see them?
Oh, you going to put it up here?
Yeah, DVD.
Ugh, don't put that in my chili.
Exactly.
Neopets
just did such a good job depicting the feeling of that shoe.
Yeah,
that you
just
don't.
A gross
you're like,
old
ew.
shoe, and you like don't want it.
Get rid
so
of that.
Don't put it in my savory dish.
And he did, but maybe I don't know. Did he have an artistic reason for that shoe?
We'll get there.
To be in your chili.
Let's find out.
We ended with day 1 of Richard and Mistress Denna coming together to learn about each other. Yeah. His day of training. It ended. My boy was unfortunately not allowed to sleep. So that was what we left off on. He's in his BDSM dungeon and...
takes a full 24 hours of torture.
Yeah.
And then...
well, it wasn't. Yeah. It was actually a half day, remember?
You're right.
It was actually only a half day.
Yeah.
So
8 hours is, whatever. He
wakes up and Richard immediately says, she was right. This day was in fact worse than the day before, which we don't really go through day 2 in so much detail like we did with day 1. Smart choice. We didn't need to do it again. But yeah, since we went through day 1, it is difficult for me to imagine that day 2 was worse, and
Yeah.
every day 4th keeps increasing somehow. So Richard notes that Denna seems well rested, and she's like anxious to work off all this energy she has, and she puts it into the training of him.
So cool.
And he's waiting for her to do the Angel ear move again, because he's like, great, this time I'm gonna fuck it up and I'm gonna die.
I'm jerking the second I can. I'm just gonna fucking die.
And he says that he gets the sense that somehow Mistress Denna knows that's his plan, which, you know, given the mind reading powers, that makes sense. And because of that, she doesn't do it. And I liked this. I have a couple of compliments in this first part here. That it like made him feel like, oh shit, look, actually I do have a little bit of control, because the fact that like I found a way to force you to not do something maybe you wanted to do means like you say I have no control, but like it's not totally true. There's little things I can do.
You're right. That is true.
And I feel like Terry is big on like the theme of, you know, the whole personal responsibility thing, and it feeds into that idea of like, no matter where you are, like look for those small things you can change and have control over. And I was like,
yes,
it's a really good example.
It's a great example.
Right?
So she's sitting in a chair, being hot. She's eating fruit. We keep showing her eating fruit.
It doesn't keep doing it. I feel like it happens once.
Here, and then it happens again later.
She's fruit again?
Yeah, at the dinner.
Okay, yeah, I guess. She also ate soup and vegetables, but...
Some fine soup. And rare fruit.
Rare fruit.
Rare fruit, yeah. What do you think she's eating here? What's the Mordsid's fruit of choice?
Persimmon.
Persimmon.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Thank
Wow.
you. Yeah, so she's she's always going over the table. The only time she takes a break is to go eat her fruit all hot at the table. And Richard's like, I don't eat. I'm just being given water. So then, right, at the end of the day, we just assume she did really bad things to him. And she hooks him back up to the chain to keep him standing again overnight. So once again, he's not going to get to sleep.
So
My dude is definitely
2 full days.
delirious.
No sleeping, no eating. Constant max pain.
Yeah, I don't know. Because at coming up, there's sort of like this moment where he's like, oh, my strength is waning. I am almost dead. And she like kind of is like, she can sense that. And she like pulls away. But I'm like, okay. So if the magic is not magically strengthening him to keep him alive and well to experience the pain, I think he would have hit that point way sooner. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
but we're implying
sooner.
Our boy can like really take it.
He's so strong. Yeah, he's so strong.
The Heartland Woods are hard. Right?
He's strong.
Like he learned.
Next morning, she seems in a good mood. She comes in and she says, I want a good morning kiss. I expect you to return it. Show me how happy you are to see your mistress. Which,
yeah,
hot in theory. But I was like, Richard has to be like very disgusting right now.
That breath.
That's what I'm saying. Okay,
stank.
right? I was like, okay, are you like nasty like that? Because like, why do you?
The answer is absolutely.
I don't want to think
she's
of that.
stanky nasty.
Ew.
Like she just, like no. Well, maybe that's what prompts what comes next because she gives him a little bath, right?
Yeah, fine. No, because when she gives him the bath, she's like, oh, I like the smell of your stinky sweat.
Stinky, smelly boy.
But that feels different to me than, like, you haven't brushed your teeth. I can wrap my head around being like, oh, your pheromones.
I also think in this world, nobody ever brushes their teeth. The invention of fluoride mint toothpaste is not on the horizon in the Midlands.
What do they do?
They just rinse it out in the morning and scuzz up. Like, that's it.
They gotta have something.
They don't.
Ew.
Dear listeners, please research for us medieval tooth washing mechanisms.
They have magic. So now my whole image of Richard has changed. Like, he's a
gross boy.
There with like...
But so is Kaylin.
No, because she has magic. I think
she ain't washing her teeth with magic.
I think they could.
She's confessing the plaque. Like, fucking...
I think they could if they can make all red fruit poison. I think
she opens her mouth and it's just each tooth is like, Mistress, we serve you by being clean. Like, what do you think she's doing?
Like I said, it seems, given, like I said, the nuance and the specificity of what Mistress Denna can do with her magic, I think they can figure out cleaning breath.
You'd think, but I didn't hear it. And if it didn't be said twice by Terry, it's not real.
Anyway, it just seems kind of gross. I don't know why she wants to kiss him right now. He did his best with the kiss, but he had to concentrate on how pretty her braid was. And once again, the embrace makes his wounds hurt. He like repeats that
over and over again,
a bunch in this chapter.
It's definitely part of the theme that...
I know. It just got a little repetitive.
Oh, I know. I'm saying.
So she takes the chain off the peg on the... off. I don't know. The peg, I think... No, it's on the ceiling, right?
I guess.
Whatever. She takes the chain. She puts it on the floor. And then she's like, you were good, so you've earned 2 hours of sleep. And you are like, thank God for him. I'm happy he got that. So he just like collapses on the ground and he sleeps. Then she wakes him up with the Agel, which he is like...
a terror all its own.
Yeah, like horrible experience. And he's like, I don't even feel well rested.
Oh, out of 10, would never get woken up that way again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he vows that he's not going to make any mistakes because he wants more sleep. So, like, the training is working. Let's just say that.
Oh, he's pretty obedient at this point.
It's working. Correct.
She was right.
He was at the end of his strength and he felt his life slipping away, and Denna could sense he was losing his endurance, and she started giving him like longer breaks to recover and not going as hard on him. But like I said, I just am like, okay, so he could like waste
pass
away
from pain. Yes.
I think
it seems like it. Yeah.
I think it would have occurred already. What do I know?
No.
And so she starts doing like her little good cop act, which this is definitely part of the training experience. It's the pushing him and then
pulling back and cooing and being like
his protector.
To protect her from her.
Right.
His supporter from her pain. Yeah, this whole thing of back and forth. It's definitely the psychological war game. And really no thoughts on that. Richard doesn't think about it at all.
Well, no, he's not going to now. I would really like if he does eventually reflect on it. Do you think he does?
I don't know. We'll find out, but I don't know.
She's like stroking his face, telling him not to give up, and it'll be easier once he's broken. And I so like get this. I get it from like I don't know. There's like the sexual angle to it. Then that's like baked into sort of like an emotional draw towards this sort of dynamic. And I'm like, if you like think about it on like the micro level or like on the grounded level, I'm like, nobody likes obviously like it to this extreme, but people do, I'm counting myself in this, like these like small versions of it. Like if you're like at a job or you have like a professor in school, like you always like that person that's like pushing you really hard to like do more, take more, like who's intensely like not going easy on you, but then also gives you that like is also like nice to you and is like you can do it. There's something about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Like, do you feel that way? Like, do you kind of like that? I don't know. Maybe other people don't like it.
No, I think
clearly there is an appeal to it because that's like such a archetype of a type of figure. Like it makes me think of like Whiplash the movie, like stuff like that, you know.
It does feel so it feels like some sort of intentional mentorship, where you are being, it's like goading you into performing, and it's like, I mean, when you think of Whiplash, that's the whole movie is just like, be good enough or get the fuck out of my way,
right? But I am like, was he nice in that movie?
Almost never, except at the end he accepts him and then is like, you did it, like, you know, like that's the whole point of that performance.
I guess I'm thinking more somebody that's maybe a little bit more of a mix of the two. Sure,
but you understand watching that one being more extreme, the appeal of that concept.
I very get it.
So I mean, does that happen in real life? Probably.
Things like that
definitely happen in real life, but I don't think I really had anyone push me that hard.
I feel
but you know what? No, when you have like a really hard professor,
that's what I'm saying,
or someone that actually like kind of cares. That's the thing. It's the combination of caring, and strictness, and then when they ease up on the break when you finally do a good job. That's the thing where you're like,
I'm just saying, I like it. I do like it,
and it makes you feel almost like, all right, you can get insane with the words here, but like it creates a desperation to please.
I don't know if maybe I don't know if it's a desperation.
You crave the positive attention.
You do crave it.
Because they dole out so much negative attention. And they have such a high standard.
I know. Some part of me does, like, I think that's, like, certainly in modern culture that's, like, kind of really looked down upon.
You gotta be real careful with it. Yeah,
you do, because I get it. I get how it can, like, border into this weird territory where you're like, you're just being a bad person. But I also think there's something, like, I do think there's something really effective about it.
Yeah, well, obviously, it almost feels.
If you have good intentions,
it can go all the way. It can go as low as a good teacher wanting you to do well and creating a high standard that you move forward in the world with, and it just being totally neutral to positive to like a cult leader. It can go all the way to something very extreme like that. Yeah. But that thing is clearly appealing. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, do it. Bully me.
Bully me. Wow.
Do it. Bully me. Come on. All right. Yeah. But then you have to, like, you also have to be, like, nice sometimes.
Yeah, if they're never nice, that doesn't really work.
No, it does not work, no. Yeah, but it has to have, like, a coherent logic to it. That's really important. Yeah. You can't feel like it's random.
No, it can't be random.
Right? Like, if you're like, oh, you're just kind of being mean when you're, like, in a bad mood. Like,
that's too much ego. You need the thing to be, like, pure.
Exactly. I need to be, like, whatever the goal you have in mind for me is, I have to be like, I see it. I see why that would be good. And then I want to get bullied into being better. And then when I hit that thing, I'm happy to have hit it. And then they're also going to be like nice to me about it. Love that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just telling on myself.
No, I don't think so. And I think
admit it, guys. Some of us like that, right?
I think so. Here's the problem. I think a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I do too.
And it depends on the tolerance that you have for that kind of thing. But like, yeah, think about like the military, right?
That's what. Yes,
this is a common
like
thing,
right?
Yeah, drill sergeants are horrible to people, at least in stereotype. But when they get out the other side, assuming nothing terrible happened, they're like, Drill Sergeant Jeffrey is the greatest man I've ever known.
That's literally what. Exactly. Yes, I feel like. Granted, I would suck at the military, but if I was in any way capable in that arena, I think I would love that.
Because it would make you horny?
Well, there's a lot of overlap with these things.
There is, yes.
Like, when I think of instances of it, I'm thinking of, like, teachers and, like, job managers. And I'm like, it didn't really... No, it didn't make me horny. It didn't. But you were like, oh, we're like... We're in the what?
Yeah. You're in that buttercream spot.
We're in a zone where I see the relationship, and then in like a fantasy, I would be like, "Oh, that feeling, bring it over here. It works here too."
For sure. Yeah, it's like the cousin of horny. It doesn't have to be horny, but it could be really horny.
Well.
Yeah, it easily can be like siphoned into fantasy.
So easy.
But that feeling is interesting. It's a very motivating thing.
It is.
It's like a crucible. You're being put in
dark and raw.
Oh, damn! Telling on myself.
What was the name of that episode?
Was it The Crucible?
The Crucible of It All.
The Crucible of It All.
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
I think that
it probably is. The purpose of which is to remove impurities and to make you come out as something whole and congealed.
How very alchemical.
It's very alchemical. So that feeling, it's like a physical metaphor for the thing you're describing.
Right.
Which, of course, is going to have an element of eroticism.
Right. Oh, yeah, I'll tell on myself. I like this experience. But anyway, this is like that experience, but like instead of being like, I want you to be a better writer, it's somebody being like, I want you.
This is kind of incoherent.
It's not, though. I want you to be beholden to me and no longer have a self is a goal that's coherent in a sense. You might just not share the desire.
That's the problem.
Right.
Because joining the military or...
You're like, I also want the goal in the end. He doesn't want the goal, but then the pain makes him also want the goal.
True.
Right?
Wow.
In a way. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think there's something to it. It's different. It is different when the person's coming to you and being like, I'm making a goal for you that you don't share.
Yeah, versus like a Whiplash, he's terrible, but you
He
want to
really
be a great
wants
drummer.
to be the
You're
drummer.
here because you want to be a great drummer,
Yeah.
so stop fucking wasting my time.
Yeah.
That's an interesting ideal, because it's like, how hard are you going to
That
stick
one,
to
though,
your own thing?
is psychologically pretty different because it is very, like, you can leave, in fact, fucking go. Like, there's something about the reverse psychology of that that's so different than, like...
That almost keeps people
Yeah, maybe
more.
maybe the Mortzes should try that one on.
No, they would all leave because they don't want the thing.
I know. That's the problem. If the Mortzes were going to, like, train you to become extremely powerful in the end.
Sure. Or like, hey, if you get through this, I'll help you kill Dark and Raw.
Yeah, something like
Something
that.
like then it's like, how much you're willing to take.
That would be interesting. So, yeah, that's when then she unhooks him, comes back with a giant bucket of soapy water, has him kneel, and she starts scrubbing him with a big brush.
Yeah.
And you are like, this is very, like, intimate and
maternal,
loving in a sort of way.
Yeah. She's washing his wounds. They hurt. Once again, she can't do anything without hurting him.
Right. And she's like, I'm doing this because we're going to a dinner and I don't want to offend the guests with you being smelly. Richard says her cleaning is sort of tender and reminds Richard of how you'd care for a dog. What foreshadowing for what's coming up? Why?
Terry can't
I don't know.
not
why
do that.
even do that?
So,
and he's kind of like leaning against her because he doesn't have enough like strength to hold himself
sit up. Yeah.
And yeah, again, it's kind of building that they're forming some sort of like actual
There's
little
a bond. Yeah.
That again, I do think is based in what I said last time about how like she is the only like beautiful, pleasant, amazing, gorgeous thing in his life.
For sure. He's in a dungeon otherwise.
Yeah. So she says, the invitation is from Queen Milena and it's quite an honor for someone as low as you to be invited. And Richard then realizes that they're in her castle, which I was like, that doesn't have to mean that, but okay. Whatever.
Doesn't have to mean that. And also, it does because there's 5 locations in this world.
I know. I was just like, couldn't you just be somewhere nearby? Why does that mean you're in the castle?
Couldn't he be hundreds of miles away so what happens next doesn't happen?
We could wish. And so she lets him sleep for an hour at her feet before they go to dinner.
Like a dog.
And yes, I think the pacing and the psychology of breaking him is like, done well.
I agree.
Right? Like, it's good. I believe it.
It's systematic. You feel his, like, even his inner monologues get, like, a little, like, eroded over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's kind of like Flowers for Algernon. It's not like that.
Yes, but instead of a rapidly deteriorating mind due to a ineffective psychological medication, it's magic porn.
Something like that.
Something like that.
I don't know. I don't know why I buy it. I just do. I buy the logic of it all. I buy how it's panning out. I'm bought into it. Yeah. I have to say.
I agree. I think it is just...
I think it's all the explanations of like how she's doing things, why she's doing things, why he's reacting the way he is. It's all extremely reasonable and believable.
And she's hot up until this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's just a separate thing, but sure, we could talk about that too.
No, it feels really important to me.
And she's also hot, so... She wakes him up with her boot. She kicks him instead of the Agel, and he almost cries at realizing she did not use the Agel, and he profusely thanks her for being so nice to him. And I'm like, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I totally get why he'd react that way. I think I would do the same thing.
I agree.
Right?
Absolutely.
I believe him for sure. I believe for sure.
The language of this was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, he's clearly, like, almost dissociating from old Richard.
Right.
And, like, it's done subtly. And I wrote that this is one of the few compliments that I can pay this chapter.
I don't know. This part, like, I thought it was actually very good. That's what sucks. But I was like, this is really good, actually. I'm impressed that you, like... This feels like something... Although, like, all the pulpy dominatrix elements add a weird tone.
Sure.
But other than that, like, the actual breaking and everything, I don't know. I'm impressed that he didn't make it stupid.
Fair.
Right? Like, he kind of did it. It was good.
He does a lot of things stupid. And
He didn't make it. I'm thinking about some of his worst moments, and I'm like, I can't believe that the person who pulled off something complex like this also wrote that shit.
This is what I kind of like. This is why you kind of love Terry, because it's like, it's filled with what the fuck was that? Yeah. That was terrible, and how did you do that? Yes. That was pretty good.
How did you do that? How'd you pull that off?
Because usually authors are somewhere either in the middle or like one or the other, where you're like, everything you're doing consistent. Is fucking genius, or this book sucks. This is like, I don't know, there's parts where it sucks, there's parts where it's awesome, there's parts where like, what's wrong with you? Do you have like a, I don't know, just like a vendetta with logic? Are you against just all sorts of morality? Like, we're all over the map.
Everywhere.
And
can't
that's
predict
why
it.
We're here, bringing it to you live. Let's get into dinner.
Yeah. So she gives him his instructions for the night. He has some rules. The chain on his collar is going to be connected to her belt. He has to keep his eyes only on her. He can only speak when someone addresses him, but first he has to check with Denna to make sure he can reply. Cool. He's not going to sit at the table. He has to sit on the floor, and if he behaves himself, he'll get something to eat.
Wow.
And he promises he's going to do all that, and he is pumped about the idea of sitting on the floor. He's so jazzed up about it.
I get it.
Yeah,
I come home from a day of work, and I'm like, yo, sitting on the floor sounds nice sometimes.
He's like, oh, you're telling me I get to like just sit on the floor and you'll leave me the fuck alone and I can just rest?
All I got to do is not talk to people, not think.
Perfect.
No pain?
Yeah, definitely valid feelings. So then Richard's like, they're like walking through the castle to get to the dinner, and he is in like a fog. He is just in a fugue state. My dude does not know what's going on. He hasn't slept. He hasn't ate. He's been tortured. And she took his manacles off, and like his wrists though it's been cutting into them. So they're all swollen and throbbing. And I was like, I feel I can understand what. Why is the soundboard up?
I was looking for something. I was just fishing around, all right?
Okay, well.
Yeah, all right. You can't react to the soundboard, right? It gives it away.
They enter what I imagine is the same banquet hall we've been hanging out in with Queen Milena.
Oh, yeah.
Mistress Denna's walking around. She's chatting with the people. And Richard's just staring at her braid. He's not paying attention to what's going on.
Is she getting dressed up? Is she still wearing the same red leathers?
Wearing her red leathers. I assume she's wearing new ones, but...
True. Yeah.
I'm picturing her walking around...
dominatrixing through this party.
Yeah, because it's like she's...
It's her uniform. That's
she's
she
like
is.
A military member.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Richard is locked in on that braid, and he realizes that like when she had been like torturing him earlier, her braid had come undone and was kind of like loose, and wisps of hair were coming out of it. But like now it's perfect and shiny, so she must have redone it at some point.
While he was asleep, yeah.
But I kind of liked it because you're like, you do feel like you're in his head, and you're like, he really is locked in on that braid. That's all he thinks about these days. He's locked in. I feel like it's that we're supposed to be getting that he is so hyper fixated on this fucking braid, and he has so little going on. Yeah. Otherwise, that he's almost starting to like engage with it the way like Tom Hanks in Castaway talks to Wilson.
Yeah,
like,
it's a totem. It's a fetish for him at this point. And then, yeah, he does reflect on how much prettier she is than all the other people. Everyone else.
He's like, you know what? Her hair really is freaking beautiful. And honestly, she's hotter than any other woman in this room right now.
Might be true.
And like, yeah, I guess that was what I wondered. I was like, is that true?
It might be true.
Are we actually just sort of stating like, you readers must understand she is the most beautiful person? Or are we like, no, Richard got that drug in him?
I think it's a little of both.
You know what I mean?
I think Rawl only picked supermodel baddies.
Of course.
But also, he's hooked.
He's in it.
He got that Denna going, you know?
Denna. And he knew people were staring at him and at the sword, and because they're like being like, oh, the Seeker, while he's being led around. And I do think the imagery is cool. I'm really sorry. Her being like, I've got the Seeker. That's very fucking cool.
It's very cool. It's
right?
extremely cool. Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
By the belt, just walking around.
Oh my God. I was like, wow.
Walking around the party.
I love that.
What's it called when you want to be someone so badly, but like... Is it envy? Oh, all right.
So he reminds himself, because everybody's staring at him, he's in his own brain being like, you know what? Pride is locked up, girl. We don't care. I am here to rest and eat, and that is all that really matters.
Give me a roll and a fucking slab of stone. I am happy as a clam. That's it.
You know what, Based? It's so true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're so right to think of it that way. So this is like, honestly, Richard dealing with this is maybe him at his most likable for me.
Unfortunately.
Because he's doing a great job at getting through it.
See, it's this is definitely the ego killing. That's definitely like what this arc is.
But I can't imagine that, because my dude is going to come back head bigger than ever in the long run.
That's because he's a war wizard or something.
I don't think it's going to
He
help
locked that
much.
ego. He cheated the system.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
said, "Oh, this is my ego death moment." No, it's not. Just you think that. That's okay.
He said, just kidding. They go up to the queen. Richard bows. He bows the whole time while Mistress Denna and the queen talk.
Uh-huh.
And they noted that the queen and Denna only bow their head to one another, which I can't remember what her and Kaelin did.
She kissed Kaelin's hand.
Right,
So, like,
okay. So they're
Kaelin
of
is
equal
over
value.
the queen. They're kind of equal power.
But then later we kind of say that that's not true, because we're like, Mistress Denna is more powerful than them.
She's
whatever.
more whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Who cares? Yeah.
And of course, our favorite character in the whole wide world, Princess Violet,
James? No.
is there. And Richard has to think of Denna's braid to not be angry about what Princess Violet did to Rachel.
Okay.
Okay.
The girl you knew for 17 minutes.
Sure, you have other things to worry about right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they go and they sit at the table. She's sitting, I guess, in between the queen and Princess Violet, which seems odd, but okay. And Denna snaps her fingers. She points to the floor behind her chair. And he sits there cross-legged, which I thought was just like an odd, I don't know how else, I don't know.
Dude, I'm laying. Like,
I don't think he's allowed.
Oh, damn. Well, then cross legs.
I don't know.
Crisscross applesauce.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining him, just like a little kid.
It was meant to evoke that.
Yeah, so he's sitting there cross-legged, and Princess Violet looks at him coldly.
Okay.
And the queen tells Denna that since she's a vegetarian, they made her a special meal of soups and vegetables and rare fruits like persimmons. And right, so you're like, okay, so she doesn't eat meat because she's like dark and raw.
Yeah, I guess they're not eating meat. They're just getting into pedo shit.
Mm-hmm. They love that, yeah.
Yep. We're about to get some now.
The server brings out a plain bowl. She says, "For my pet," briefly interrupting her conversation. And it was a gruel. The Daharans love gruel. They can't get enough.
Terry can't think of a single bad food that's not
Why
just
couldn't it have
gruel.
just been like broth? I don't know.
Broth, yeah.
Gruel. Richard is super excited to eat the gruel, as you would be. And so then...
Yep.
Here we go.
Why don't you dive on in for us here? Yep.
Everything about this...
sucks.
pisses me off. So Princess Violet interrupts and says, "If he's your pet, why do you allow him to eat like that?" Guys, what's the voice? At least kind of good.
Yeah.
So then Mistress Denna says, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?" Anyway, well, if he's your pet, he should eat off the floor without his hands.
What do you mean is unforgivable nonsense?
Literally trash.
It's Terry Goodkind once again. Whoever's in charge, you're not
knows
anymore.
Everything.
You don't know anything now.
Yeah, you're
this
stupid.
random person who's talking knows more than you.
Even if it's a little child, and I've painted you out to be the most like hyper intelligent, hyper aware,
psychosexual dominant in the world. There should not be a person in this room that could talk to her in a way that even kind of flaps her or makes her...
That's what I'm saying.
She should not say, "What do you mean?" If she didn't know what she meant, she should say, "Clarify yourself, child."
Ooh, love that.
There you go.
First of all, love that. But second of all, no,
or, hey, why are you talking to me, kid? Anything.
That would have been good. But also, you wouldn't be confused by the concept. That's all. No. This is like... Okay, because here's the thing. doing shit like this to people in BDSM is so, like, basics, right? Like, if you were trying
Just
to be like,
utterly,
I got you on a leash. Oh, crawl around the floor. Oh, eat out of a dish. It's like you could be like dumb-ass human beings on planet Earth right now can figure out to do that. I think Mistress Denna, the lifestyle magical dominatrix who's dedicated her life to coming up with ways to humiliate people, would have not only understood what she meant, but it'd be like, yeah, no shit, bitch, I do this all the time.
It's not like she'd missed that one.
That's what I'm saying.
She's specifically not doing that one.
Oh, wow, you think I should... Oh,
and if she's... And we'll see, she does like encouraging this kid for...
whatever
a million reasons that I'm angry about, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Even if that's her prerogative,
yeah,
which it is, unfortunately... If that's her prerogative, do not have her ask, what did you mean?
Exactly.
Ask her to clarify herself, or say, why, what were you thinking?
Yeah, like, exactly.
I'm interested in your growing dominant mind.
Yeah, let
me feed it. Not,
Huh? Okay.
Huh?
Dumbass writing. So
unagreeable. Yeah, unforgivable.
So she says that he should eat off the floor without his hands, and Denna grinned, a glint in her eye. It's a do as she says. Okay. So Mistress Denna's already riding this line, right? Of like, of course, likability in her coolness, in her sexuality, in her all that good stuff that we like about her when we all say, we love you, queen. But she's, of course, riding the line because you're like, she is, in fact, torturing.
She's torturing the main character. It's not.
So we all have to grapple with that. But then giving her the flaw of involving
tag team's children,
a child in your weird, kinky thing makes her really difficult for me to get past into the point where I can empathize and like her down the line.
It calls into question everything that you've built up. All the goodwill that you have built up with the audience of, like, this person. Because he's trying to describe her in a way that you can have empathy with.
I know.
Richard is constantly feeling empathetic towards her. And I think that is the entire arc for Richard here. Still, through all the torture she puts her through, seeing her as a person, forgiving her. Right. That whole thing. Why in the world are you going to, involve a child in this? If you're going to do it, either let me hate that person because they're bad, or let her be more fucked up. It doesn't make sense.
Why do you say what do you mean by let her be more fucked up?
We'll find out later in this chapter. The Mord Sith are trained and bred from a young age, 12 or whatever the fuck. Psychologically, this woman would be absolutely fucking destroyed, right? Mm-hmm. But whatever. If we're going to pretend she made it through, she's super hot, intelligent, kind of cool.
Yeah.
Someone that you might want on your superhero team because she's so good at doing something weird. She doesn't enjoy, get off, whatever, doing this with little girls. This would be the one thing that she's like, absolutely never do I fucking do this. Then she can't be this cool. It's one or the other.
I don't know. But what if, I guess that's what he's asked. Maybe he's like being like, because not necessarily, it could be that it's so normalized for her. It happened to her. She was around everybody, it happening to all these young girls. To her, that could just be like, yeah.
Then she would be leading here more.
I agree. It has mixed tones, right?
That's my biggest problem.
Yeah, it does.
Make her the person that's totally cool with it.
She's not. She's like cool with it until
she's flirting around the idea and
not cool with it. I don't know. It is kind of weird. Well, it's obviously weird. I'm like, is that what he's asking? I don't know. I find it hard because I don't think the same way. We're like, you have Demon, and that's like, granted, of course Demon's doing more like egregiously, directly harmful stuff.
Yeah.
But I know you're not going to ask me to suddenly like Demon, right?
No. Here's the thing. Demon is raping and or murdering kids, right? Yeah. That's where we're at. He's a pedo murderer.
Yeah.
Denna is apparently okay with teaching children to be dominatrix murderers.
Why? Of course, though. But, like, of course she... It's like, I keep going back and forth because I'm like, yeah, of course she is, though. That's her life.
I know, but there's not, like, a squad of Demon Nasses that we're expected to be like, Demon's son, Demon Jr. is joining Richard in the fight against Jagang later as the fucking pedo lightning bolt kings. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Well, I feel conflicted because there's that. But then it's weird because she also, when she tells Richard about, like, her past, which she does, like, quite, like, I'll just say the whole thing in a paragraph.
Tell that show.
Yeah, she said it has a tone that she's like, and isn't that horrible? And then Richard replies, I'm so sorry. And she's like, yeah. It's like, okay, so you did think it was bad? Okay, then why did you do this part? But maybe that's why she isn't wholeheartedly going in on it.
She was pretty wholehearted. I don't know.
My thing is, like, it can't even have the argument of, like, oh, no, I, like, just want to train her to be this, like, cool, badass warrior. Because there are, like, multiple, like, sexually charged things that occur in the chapter with the child involved.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, Denna, what do you think you're doing? Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? That's my question, yeah. All right, so...
It would have been kind of, like, I just wish Princess Violet could have been, like, 15. Because that could have even made it, like...
much different
definitely
thing.
Uncomfortable and, like, oh, that's bad. But you'd be like, I kind of could understand...
And you can get, like, oh, that was around when it happened to her. And, like, there's like, you're at the budding of your... sexual journey.
I don't know. I could have wrapped my head around it.
Gross, but more reasonable. This is like, what are you doing?
I don't know what she's doing.
What are you exploring even? I don't even know.
I'm not sure. I can't figure out what to...
It's like, oh, the cruelty of children is the same as the cruelty of adults. No, it's not. It's totally different.
It's like not.
They might have a similar root. But they are not the same thing.
But there are, like, crazy little children who, like, murder family members and murder friends. Like, it happens. And then it is, honestly, when you read stories like that, it is kind of similar.
Yeah, so here's my thing, right? Here's what I wish for this. A, don't let it happen at all.
Yeah.
Throw that out the window, whatever. If you're going to have Richard eat out of a bowl due to a command, I keep saying it, make Queen Milena command it.
Yeah, that would have made
Make
a lot
the
more
mean
sense.
Queen do it, and the daughter's watching and learning.
Yeah, for sure.
That is the thing. And then even if Princess Violet shows up in the doorstep later on, it's like because she's curious, because all the people in her life are cruel, and now she's becoming cruel.
That would have been nuanced.
I don't know if I believe in the bullshit of, like, there are just fucked up kids who don't have any influence. And
I'm not sure. I don't
know if I believe it.
Maybe.
Listen, there's a chance, but it's not interesting to just say, and this one who happens to be in the center of all this shitty bad stuff,
right? Who
is one of them.
That's not why she's picking it.
She's not actually bad because of anything she's seeing. She just is bad.
I don't know. I can't understand.
Show me that.
I don't know what I'm supposed. If I am supposed to just think Princess Violet is just purely
just an evil girl,
sociopathic, and it's like somehow unrelated to the fact that her mom is also like
sociopathic and fat.
Oh, wacko. I don't know.
It's connect them. Connect the daughter and the mom. If you're making them both just evil, show me how the mom is evil so that the daughter with happy eyes is watching her mom kill people. You don't do it. You just make them like totally separate entities. Yeah. And she's like 9.
Yeah.
Whatever. Secondly, Denna should either stoke it in her or tell her to shut the fuck up.
No, it
should not be that Princess Violet's leading Mistress Denna, because that's how it feels. It's stupid. It's bad.
Cringe. It's cringe. It would have been interesting at least to have had it be like he like really doubled down and was like, no, Mistress Denna is actually kind of a freak and is sort of like scouting out little girls and wanting to like be like, more, let me ask you questions, let me see if you're a good fit, whatever. I could see that.
It's fucked up, but you have no problem putting fucked up things in the book.
Correct.
So if that's what you want to do, do it. But that would make more sense.
Or, honestly, what I would just prefer from, like, a reader point of view, I would like if you're, like, showing me that Princess Violet has these impulses and is kind of fascinated with the Mord Sith, as you might even naturally be, even if you're not a sociopathic child, but especially if you were. And then Mistress Denna could be just, like, a bitch to her, and I'd still get the same information, right?
Correct.
I would be like, oh, she wants to do it. She's fascinated by it. She wants to emulate her. And she doesn't actually even have to do it, and what would the difference be?
I would not hate that nearly as much.
No.
Because then you're just kind of saying there's a curiosity in children towards cruelty.
Right.
And I agree with that.
Right, exactly.
That's true.
Yes, that's my thing. If you want to show me that she's interested in it and drawn towards it, great. I think that is a big part of the theme that he's trying to do, and I do not get why her doing it versus just showing me that she wants to do it. What did that accomplish?
Besides squeak me the fuck out?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what
I'm trying to figure out what in that moment, like if I'm just reading the scenes where the things are happening, what am I learning beyond that she wants to do it?
You're not learning anything. You're just like experiencing it. And that feels, I don't want to.
Who wants to?
You shouldn't make me. And it doesn't really inform me of anything other than I didn't like that thing, which if I could have told you I didn't like.
I didn't need to read it to know that.
And then the third thing that it's just Terry's writing. And I really wish he could just fucking write a room of people that were not all fucking just morons at all times. Why are people not disturbed by the Mord Sith?
I would love. Well, okay,
I understand.
We're from Richard's point of view, and he doesn't have the wherewithal to like take in what the fuck. I don't know. He does kind of jump around and like tell you.
Does.
Yeah, it's not like, consistently from his point of view.
Even if you're in the Midlands, you know. Listen, if you know about these women, you're scared of them. Just like the Confessors. There's a chance you're just afraid seeing one.
But
you're like, they got a lot of power. You might even think it's cool.
Yeah.
But you're still giving them wide fucking berth. I'm not walking anywhere near this bitch. And if I see her horribly bruised, battered, bleeding slave man on the floor next to her at dinner, I'm not laughing 100% with my gut. I'm kind of going like, ugh.
I would love to know. It would have been interesting to see a variety of reactions to her and him and the whole thing. But again,
Terry writes people at court.
Yeah.
Like how Christopher Buhlman writes demons at a demon dinner, laughing at the like frailty and sin of man.
It's so true.
Please. People are not that bad.
Yeah, they're not.
They're bad.
They're not.
People are bad. There's cruelty in the human heart abundant. But they're not all that bad.
But I think we're supposed to be like, they're going along with it due to fear.
They're not laughing like they're afraid. They're laughing with their full chest. That's the scene that's being painted. Have it be like people are kind of like, wow. And like, haha, but also like, glad it's not me. They're all just like, I love pain against my enemies.
Like I said, I do think he's thinking like it's all from Richard's point of view. He's not picking these things up. I just won't include it. It's a boring decision from a writing perspective.
Extremely.
But I think that's what he was trying to do.
I don't like it. So anyway, those are my 3 big points for the dinner. Let's get on with the pedomasochism.
Yeah, so she says, like, I feel, it's like, let's all be real. What I'm about to say fits great in some sort of sexual, like, fantasy setting. I don't know. I guess not everybody knows that. But trust me, these words are like cut and paste.
From porn.
From porn, yeah. Put it on the floor and eat it like a dog for us all to see. Let everyone see that the seeker is no better than a dog, says the child.
Of 9.
Like, I do struggle with, like, I'm always comparing it to Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones does so much dark stuff and it does involve, like, dubious children. Do you know what I'm saying? And so some part of me is like, okay, if I, like, put that over into Game of Thrones, I could see a world where it is disturbing, of course, but works.
Yep.
I don't really know why, like, we always come back to this. I just have a more visceral feeling of like, nah, when Terry does it. I'm not sure why.
Because George puts it in a world that's real.
Yeah.
And he makes the uncomfortable feeling feel real. And there's like a realness that like softens it and like contorts around it. And you don't like it because you're like, the world is dark. But the feeling is like, that is something that can happen. And I hate to see it happening to characters I like or love or children or whatever. But it feels like a possible thing. This feels like a cartoon world.
Well, it does.
Blown up with like a fucking cartoon pump of air, and then you just stuck the bad thing in the middle of it. And they're just like,
yeah,
here you go. It's not earned.
It's definitely not. It's not earned.
It doesn't mean anything other than, why'd you do that? And why did you do it?
Well, because here's the thing. I guess, especially if George were to do it, I do think it would be in service of exploring probably a specific character who's going to have an arc, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's telling me something about that character from that point on, how that's going to impact their decisions, and it's like kind of like a psychological character study. I just am pretty sure Princess Violet's not going to matter long term.
No.
So then what, right? Because like then I'm not. I don't know. You guys tell me. Is Princess Violet going to stick around in any meaningful way where this part of her characterization can be like expanded upon in an interesting way? I just doubt it.
I doubt it.
So then it feels weird when you, because like with George, I would be like, I know that's what you're doing, and that's going to be interesting when we explore this character over time. And I'm with Terry, I'm like, I don't think Princess Violet's coming back.
If she does, it'll be.
I know. It's not, we're never really digging into Princess Violet, let's be real.
No. And we had time.
But it's not
take a
gonna
look
happen.
at Joffrey. He did deplorable things.
Right.
You had to sit with Joffrey for a long time. That was a real boy. He was terrible.
Yeah.
He was awful. You wanted him to die. Spoilers, eventually he does.
Right.
But like, there was arcs there for him.
That's what I mean.
He was evolving. He was becoming more cruel.
But he was also very important in terms of like how, for other characters, for like Cersei to be
saying.
like, oh, she's making political choices now around this personality of a child
who is
potentially taking the throne or whatever. Like he's impacting her relationships with other kingdoms, and
exactly,
like it just has so much impact.
But that's what I meant by the realness of the world.
Right. Listen, if Princess Violet, if he committed and I was like, oh my god, by book 4 we are still having to go to Tamarang and talk and like wheel and deal with Princess Violet, and Richard and Caitlin need her favor, and now this is all coming into okay, go ahead, set this up for me. But I don't think that'll happen.
I don't feel it. Yeah. And she's gonna choke on her own blood probably.
So she's in Wizard's First Rule, Phantom, and Confessor.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why I hated Phantom, Confessor, Chainfire, all those end books, because it's just like Terry went off on a million tangents and then had 3 books to wrap it all up. So yeah, Princess Violet comes back at the very end of the series, and I'm sure she's just still a bitch.
She held the gift of artistry like her distant relative James. Guys, what?
Who cares?
I can't believe it. I guess she does some stuff much, much, much later. I can't imagine that was, he was planning ahead for that, though, here. He's gonna drop her like a fucking hot sack of potatoes.
Which he should. She's a bad character, and he should have just written her good or not written her at all, but here we are.
So...
Yeah, we don't see her again until, like, 9 books later! Which is probably how long it'll take to heal from Richard's injury that happens here.
Yeah. So, yeah, she says her little inappropriately sexual demand of him.
Yep.
And Richard's like, I need to eat. Give me a break.
Yeah.
I gotta eat.
So, yeah, he don't give a fuck.
So
really.
he thinks of the braid, and he sets the bowl down, and this is why this part happened. He's going to eat the gruel like a dog, and he looks into Princess Violet's eyes at her smirk and ate gruel to the sound of laughter. Why do you have him staring her?
Why is he locking eyes
with
a child?
Staring in her eyes
as he does a humiliating act that can only be read as sexual?
See, now that sort of shit doesn't really make sense because he didn't have to do that, and like that doesn't tell me anything about anybody. It doesn't tell me about Princess Violet. All it would make me question is like, is Richard being creepy? And I know that's not what it is. So then why did it happen other than to just make the scene feel more charged for no reason?
Agreed.
And I don't like that part. I need there to be a reason you're doing that.
If the reason is, I can come up with one right now, just like due to his training and the way the angel works or magic or something like that, he is, or just internally, he's like, I will only take commands from Mistress Denna, and I hate anyone else doing it. If he was thinking that, like, he felt like incensed that anyone else would dare command, because he's starting to like become brainwashed or whatever.
Right,
that would have been okay.
I'm trying my best to come up with reasons why this could be in here. From a storytelling point of view, that one I've got nothing.
Zero.
I've got nothing.
Big zero.
Yeah, why is this in here? We did not need this. After dinner, the queen has...
we brought it back, baby!
Has the long-winded...
The proletariat comes back out. Bring him back!
He's back! Again!
Here's what I don't get, though. Richard...
No, I don't know. Is it the same guy or is it a new guy?
I think it's the same guy.
Recognizes
from the dungeon.
It
must be him. It's the only guy. Listen,
didn't we
Kaylin
already...
and Zed are like a day's ride from here. It's been like 2 or 3 days. They're not that far away, right?
Yeah.
What happened in that period of time? Did Dark and Rahl show up himself?
I don't know.
If he hasn't,
the timeline.
You have one more Sith, and the Mother Confessor was just here, and you're showing up this hard already.
I don't.
They were here in your castle. You did nothing to stop them. Then they left. You had James attack one of them.
Yeah.
Then they all left without him. And now you have the guy here. And you're like, fuck the Mother Confessor who I just took all her demands from. I'm actually going to kill that farmer that she said I can't kill.
I know.
They're right there. What if they turn around before Rahl gets over here?
I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. The man comes out. Him and Richard exchange a look of like, oh no, how bad for us, right?
We don't have to hear the farmer again. That's the one
That's
good thing.
Good, yes. So the queen gives a speech about his crimes. I don't know. I think the original farmer, wasn't he put to death by Princess Violet too?
He was sentenced to death. And then Kaylin took everyone out of the prisons.
Whatever.
So he's being brought back.
I just like to think it's him again.
Yeah.
And so the queen gives a speech about his crimes and asks the princess to pick his punishment. Whatever. For crimes against the crown, 100 lashes. For crimes against the people, his head. Whoa, whoa. That's the crowd.
Yeah. We love child murder and beatings.
Richard wishes he could be that man because he wants to die.
Richard said light work.
100
lashes, light work. I do that before breakfast.
Princess Violet sits down and says to Denna, sometime I would enjoy seeing how you handle your punishments. And she says, stop by anytime you wish. I'll let you watch. Girl, you're creepy now.
Don't let her watch.
You're getting creepy.
You were cool.
I just was like, why?
So like we keep talking about how Mord Sith is like this position, right? That they have power, there's no like respect for the torture. There's no like why isn't she like, it's art what I do and you're not allowed in my space? Like this is like I'm like turning a man into like a pet. Like this is not something
that's
light.
The level of writing that's really, really cool that Terry can't do for the most part. He has his things he's really good at. Again, we're very impressed by how he has...
One more. Oh.
Okay.
That would seem like a fuck you.
We're very impressed by how he has managed to get across, for example, the psychological breakdown of Richard, things like that.
Yes.
He has his moments, for sure, where he's really impressive. But, yeah, something like that, he's just, like, can't do it for some reason. I don't know. He seems to struggle.
He's really good at immediate interpersonal talking. Like, he's
sometimes.
Good. Sometimes. when he's trying to like get a scene across, he's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But he's not good at like them having depth of like self beyond the scene.
Right. He is not. He does not honor their like consistency. He doesn't. This is like a Disney term. Character integrity.
Correct. Yeah.
He doesn't honor it at all. He won't keep it up. That is something that I think actually Brandon Sanderson is really good at doing. Come for him all you want.
No, I agree. He's
good at that. He has a really strong sense, even if it is a little bit surface level and like cartoony, of like.
No, but the cartoons are themselves. Like from every angle,
this
you're
man
like Vin
would
is
do
Vin
this.
is Vin is Vin. Like they're all like.
Yeah, and you're like, he would never, for plot convenience, decide that they're going to say something that they wouldn't say. Correct. Terry is very comfortable throwing them into the trash for that reason alone.
I agree.
Like, he's just like, oh, is that not consistent? It's convenient. Oh, well, you do that now. I don't like that at all.
No. It hurts the IP.
It really does. And yeah, I just think that, like, I feel like I'm never supposed to forgive Princess Violet for any wrongdoing at all. Like, she is just supposed to be loathsome to me on every level.
Yeah, like a toad of a human. But we're supposed to like Denna at some point.
Yeah, but Mistress Denna being like, yes, child, come watch my sexy dominatrix moment. I'm supposed to be like, oh, well, she was abused. I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's one or the other. Either we're empathizing with everyone, baby, and then give me something to latch onto for Princess Violet, which you haven't.
No, we're not going to get either.
Or I need to, like, condemn her a lot more than I think you want me to.
Correct.
So.
I agree. Denna's doing a job. A very important job for her emperor, right?
Yeah.
That she cannot fail at. Yeah. And she doesn't have any intention of failing
why would you ever fuck around
just
like
bringing
this?
a little girl into the room help?
No.
Because if it helped, you'd have little girls in that room already.
Yeah.
If you know it would help, you would just have it done. It would just be done. The fact that it's like bring someone else's kid to work day in this scene is weird. It doesn't make sense.
Weird. It doesn't.
There's no room for that in Denna's life right now.
I wrote in the notes like, is she doing this because like she somehow needs to be like beholden to Queen Milena and like keeping her happy? But then later on, we like outright say that's not true. She doesn't. So she's in charge.
It's one or the other.
So I'm like, okay, well then, so she didn't have to keep them happy. So she could have easily been like, no, this is serious. Get your kid the fuck out of the room. And that would have been okay. Then why didn't she do that?
I don't know.
Why didn't she do that?
I don't know. Yeah. So she's back in the dungeon. And things are getting hot and heavy.
She immediately takes his shirt off. I'm like, knowing where we're going. So you are going out of your way. Like, Terry's being very intentional in setting up that there is a weird sexual element to this.
Yeah, it is a sexual element. It's not even, it's just this thing that they're doing is sexual.
I know, but going out of your way.
Let's put kids in it.
But that's what I'm saying. Going out of your way to be like, the kid's coming. I'm going to make sure right now he's shirtless. It gives the scene this strange sexually charged atmosphere. And then my question is, why? I guess it's like, I feel like in his brain, he was like, we're exploring abuse. All types of abuse that happens to children. And then clearly we're always exploring pedophilia for some reason. And then he just was like, abuse? I bundle that in with sexual abuse. So I just need that to be an element of this. I feel like it's just that. He's trying to make this, the more Sith and everything, like this abuse metaphor. And again, I feel it is people who are really struggling to understand how metaphors can function. And so he's like, well, I want, like, it's like, it can work as a sexual abuse metaphor without there actually being any sexual element literally in the scene.
Of course.
Do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like he doesn't think that. He like doesn't think that's true on some level. He's like, no, you gotta like literally do that. It's like, no, you don't.
It starts to lack metaphorability once you make everything literal.
Correct.
Right? Shirts off, he's hung up.
So she's like, oh, your eyes strayed too much at dinner. And like,
which feels like a stretch. It's like one of those dominatrix things.
Yeah. And you don't have a lot of detail given, but you presume she's like ageling him and he's yelling whatever. And then there's a silhouette in the doorway. I like the way you make him beg. Literally a fucking jump scare, okay?
Literally,
like I'm picturing the creepiest little girl silhouette.
Yup. Yeah, literally like Chucky doll sort of.
Okay, ew.
Gross.
Denna smiles and tells her to come closer to show her more. And then Denna hugs him with one arm, pressing herself into his wounds, kisses his ear, and whispers, "Let's show the princess how well you can beg, shall we?" Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
Why it does...
Are you at SeaWorld? Are we putting on a performance for the audience with the fucking orca show, or is this like your job? I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess show the princess what we can do.
There's a bit of theatricality to the whole thing inherently, so I think that's part of it. But
yeah, the theatricality is supposed to be like psychological in between the two of them.
I think maybe like at their mordsithkink.com dungeon.
Oh yeah, I can see the building now.
You know what I'm saying? Like they probably have that.
Sure, a little bit of public domination.
I can see how there's a theatrical element to it.
Sure.
Why though? Why you're gonna see the child walk in the room and be like, I'm just gonna like make out with his ear and make this sexy. I don't know why you would do that.
And this kid could be like 11. 9, 11. Oh.
I think... Okay. I feel like as if it's all not problematic enough. Just throw that in the mix.
What did Terry have to do with 9/11?
I just think it's a weird reaction. I would need to have a lot of, like, Mistress Denna has some sort of belief system in, like, the training of the young, blah, blah, blah. And when she speaks about how things were done to her when she was younger later on, that is most certainly not the narrative.
No,
so,
it's not.
I don't get it then. So, Richard vows that he won't beg, and he doesn't keep his promise.
Cool.
And he says... Denna seems proud to show off her talents. I was like really trying to like dig into that was the only thing I was given where I was like, okay, I think you're giving me a clue or something as to why she is doing this. And so I was really trying to dig into what that means.
Is this a feminism thing?
What?
Is Denna trying to be like, look how strong you can be?
I mean, maybe in a way. I don't know. I was like, why do you give a fuck if a 9-year-old is impressed by this? Yeah, no fucking shit. It's crazy what you're doing.
You can literally go like, whatever that fucking like, whoa, the fucking finger trick. Like, whoa. And the 9-year-olds go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just like, Denna, what? Once again, it's like a woman looking for external validation from like a very bizarre source.
Yeah.
Who was it that... Oh, Shota. It's just like that, actually. Shota being like, Richard, please
love me.
Oh my God. Am I cool? It feels that way. Again, Mistress Denna being like, oh yeah, like I need someone to tell me I'm good at this. Even though like you already have established you're the best at this. And then being like, oh my God, this little kid, aren't I good? It's like, why would you be impressed? Like, why would this validate you? It's a child. She's so cool. Why the fuck would she care?
I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know what it means.
So that's what I'm saying. Because, like, that was the only thing that stuck out to me was her being proud. And I was like, that's not the same as trying to indoctrinate the children.
No.
So that's not being brought up. It's that she really wants an audience, and
if she wants an audience, there's guards, there's anyone she could bring down. She could have invited.
I'm sure there's all sorts of creepy little men up there who'd want to come down and watch, right?
Definitely, 100%.
Why do you need this kid?
You don't need this kid, so you want this kid,
right? And now she's
what
weird.
What does that mean?
Now she's weird.
And then it just sours everything, especially what's coming next.
It really does. I know. Princess Violet asks if she can try. Mistress Denna, of course, this is what she would say. Why, of course, my dear. I'm sure my pet wouldn't mind. Now, would you? And Richard says, please, Mistress Denna, don't let her, please. She's just a little girl. I'll do anything you say, but please don't let her, please. Which...
Because he's caring about the right thing. He's not worried about getting hurt. He's saying...
I know. Very honorable.
Don't let her hurt me because that's bad for her soul.
Her.
Yeah.
Although, your ass was, like, going to chop off her head like a day ago.
Princess Violet?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was going to say bad shit about Caitlyn. So.
Anytime if she says bad shit about Caitlyn, we can, like, murder and torture her.
Yeah, then muster gas the whole castle, but
now I don't know, that's also weirdly conflicting, I feel.
Agreed.
Because I feel like Richard was perfectly fine, like, mentally torturing this little girl, like, literally yesterday. Yeah. And now all of a sudden he's like, oh, she shouldn't be exposed to that. And it's like, she shouldn't, but also... I did kind of get the feeling you would have killed her, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. She's like, my pet wouldn't mind, now would you? He's like, please don't let her, please don't let her. And she says, there, you see, my dear, he doesn't mind at all. And I was like, what? That's very, like, laugh track? Like, what, is it a joke?
Kind of. Like, it kind of feels like that. Yeah.
I guess it's a joke. So then Princess Violet takes the Azul. She's poking him in the thigh and then, like, randomly just, like, poking his body with it, pleased with his reactions. She says, it's easy. I never thought it would be this easy to make someone bleed. Why not? You could literally just have a knife.
Well, this what makes me wonder, like, you're saying she's, like, a sociopathic kid. That's what you're trying to, like, imply. And she chopped off what's-her-name's hair all the time, and she never cut anyone. She never stabbed anyone. She's having people get their heads cut off. She's watching people get lashes.
Because the thing she's going to say in a little bit about Caitlyn gets you to, like, mentally be like, whoa. Yeah. She's, like, has, like, sadistic thoughts in her brain. So somehow she's that level of, like, sadistic and has never been like, oh, yeah, I, like, sometimes stab a little cat in the palace.
You didn't, like,
or, like, she was
Rachel.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
she was given this little girl, and she's like a wild sadist, but she just never did anything. Just slapped her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So hard though.
Like, there's less crazy human beings in our modern world who probably
have caused bleeding
kids or animals in their life and are, like, actually, like, less insane.
Yeah.
You know? I just think that's such a weird line. I never thought it'd be this easy to make someone bleed. Well, does it look hard?
If you were like, wow, this makes it so easy to, like, cause pain.
Yeah.
You could be like, that is what it does.
Right.
It does what it do, Yug.
Yeah.
But a knife is also very easy to make someone just bleed. Denna stood there with her arms folded over her breasts, watching with a smile.
So, like, we're just kind of being like, Denna's, like, pedophile adjacent.
Yeah. Everyone from Dahara just can't stop diddling. And we're not, like, approaching it in some sort of a, like, a way where, like, can there be a culture of people who are kind of pedophilic, like the Greeks? And, like, no, it's just... They're all maniacal pedophiles, and they just are corrupting everyone.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
They're beauful humans.
They're beautiful humans.
Well, except for Demon. He's a little
gross motherfucker.
That version of a pedophile, really creepy. This version, like, pretty sexy, and, like, we're gonna be okay with it.
We're gonna love it.
Violet's, like, enjoying this. And she starts goading him about, like, you embarrassed me when you threatened to cut off my head, and isn't that what you deserve after that? Answer me, and then beg me to stop. I want to do it while you beg. That's how I imagined it always.
It's a really good voice for this. I hate it, so that's how it's good. Yeah, she's just like some shitty, like, froggy, toady little kid, and you're just like, fucking, someone kick her in the jaw so hard.
Denna, first of all, also, we're gonna get to, like, where she starts using the Angel, like, too, I don't know, aggressively. But, like, why is Denna so flippant about like, that, first of all, like you said, that tool feels like it should be sacred. It's on a gold chain on her wrist. I would think, like, you don't give this away lightly.
Give her a fucking stick to hit him with. Don't give her your...
Right, I think it's...
And especially what we find out about this thing.
That's what I'm saying. Why do you trust this... You didn't give her any instructions? You don't know her?
The Angel canonically has been inside of Mistress Denna's vagina. Canonically. At the end of this chapter, we talk about how it was used on her in a similar way to how it's going to be used on Richard, just off screen. It was definitely put in every one of her holes during training at some point. And you're just handing it to this 9-year-old. What are you doing?
What a... I don't like that.
No one touches this thing except you.
Okay, to be fair, maybe she can clean it and sanitize it in the
But
boiling
you understand
water.
what I'm saying.
I think even without the vagina element...
No, that's fine. I'm saying this
still...
woman is, like, ritualistically... like a worshiper of pain.
Yeah.
This tool is a symbolic representation of all the pain she's been through, all the pain she causes,
I don't think
power,
she should be giving
everything.
it to random people.
And it's been in her vagina and asshole. She should not be handing it to a child.
You know what?
This is one of the most intimate tools possible.
Yeah. No.
It's like her being like, here's my fucking bunny vibrator. Like, to a kid.
It is like
don't
that.
hand that to... Oh, it's clean. You cleaned it. Don't hand it to her.
You see, I think he, like, you being like, it's like handing a vibrator to a kid. I agree. But I think that's what he wanted it to be like. What doesn't make sense is it...
Yeah, I know.
But it also doesn't make sense purely on a, like the whole concept of the Mord Sith and their belief systems. Like, it doesn't fit.
That's why the IP is weak.
And then it also doesn't fit. It also does not fit in the sense that we're like, Richard's really important. Everything is hinging on Mistress Denna accomplishing this goal. Why would you give her the potential murder stick and be like, it'll be okay?
There should be guards at this door. Nobody gets in with Mistress Denna.
Correct.
She's working on him 24/7
Yes.
until he's pliable. We don't let kids in the room and hand them our fucking sex toy
Well, that's
pain
what
sticks.
pisses me off, because it's like, you already are pissing me off that you're putting me through this. At least make it coherent. The fact that you did fuck with character integrity to force me into this scene is really a double whammy of, like, unhappiness on my end.
Yep.
Right? Like, you fucked with all this stuff about the Mord Sith that I could that seems so cool, that, like, again, I could imagine their framework for life and how serious and divine pain is to them and how important the outfit is and the tools are. Like, I guess I just was giving too much credit by, like, being like, of course that's implied. And then to have you be like, this shitty scene nobody wants to read actually also detracts from all the coolness that we built up, is like, did you really need to do it that bad? For what?
Well, that's the question.
Did you really need to?
And I can't infer anything other than, like, it meant something to him off page. It doesn't mean... It just means gross feeling to me.
And you made the Mord Sith less cool and less
sexy
coherent.
And less...
Like,
almost less powerful. Like,
yes,
you
exactly.
Like, delegitimize them almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
She wants him to beg to stop and to say that he deserves this because he was mean to her. And then Denna tells him to answer, and, like, is like, she seems to learn fast. It's like, what? Why do you give a fuck about this kid?
If you had this done to you for years and years and years and years, it would not even feel like the same ballpark of the thing to her. She would be offended by someone implying that. If someone in the room was like, she learns fast, and then Denna should be like, this has nothing to do with what I do. For
sure. That's right. Like, whatever fake character we've built up that's far better than this throughout this is much cooler.
Much cooler.
And evidently we're wrong. She wouldn't do all these cool things we thought she would do. She's just like a loser who wants a child to make her feel neat. Richard's begging again, please don't teach her this. What you're doing to her is worse than what you're doing to me. She's only a little girl. Please don't do this to her. Don't let her learn these things. Does this make sense with his attitude later in what he does to her? I guess maybe that was implied. It was out of his control.
That's what I'm wondering, yeah. But also, I have questions about that are more interesting after we get out of this mire.
Richard really waits it out until he cannot take the pain anymore, and then he says he apologizes for what he did to her. He was wrong. Okay,
that was a mistake.
Yeah, and then answering it seems to excite her more. That's what's hard. It's is there something interesting about exploring again the evil that even is inherent in a child?
That's not. Yeah.
I don't feel like we're actually doing that, and I can't
that's the problem.
say why, but I don't actually feel like that's what we're doing. We're paying lip service to the idea. Mm-hmm. But we're not really...
We're just kind of reveling in it at this point.
Yeah. So she holds the angel to his stomach and says, "This is less than what the confessor deserves. She will get more than this someday, and I'm going to be the one to do it. Mother said I get to be the one when she comes back. I want you to beg me to hurt her. Let's hear you beg me chop off the mother confessor's head."
Denna intervenes.
Well, Richard has no, because it's important. Richard doesn't know what it is, but something inside of him comes awake, some sort of power or feeling that he has not had access to because she said that about wanting to kill the mother confessor.
Presumably, yeah.
And so she jams the angel into his stomach and says, "Beg me! Beg me to kill that ugly Kaelin!" And so then Richard screams at the top of his lungs, and then that's when Denna steps in between them, and she takes the angel away, and she says, "Enough! You will kill him if you use the angel in that way," which would have probably been great to start with, to tell her not to do that. Because it wasn't like she had to do some special combination or something. It was just pushing it too hard
into the belly, yeah.
Okay, yeah, she might do that. Richard thanks Mistress Denna, and he feels a peculiar affection for the way she protected him. Which, absolutely that in another scenario, right?
Yeah, cool. Then, that we could have liked that.
Princess Violet's "I don't care if I kill him." Denna's voice was cool and authoritative. Now she's
all of a sudden, finally.
And she says, "Well, I do. He is too valuable to waste in this manner." Okay, why'd you let her do it at all?
Why is she down here?
Why is she here? Richard says, Denna, at that point, he's okay, Denna's clearly in charge here. The princess and the queen got nothing on her. Denna's an agent of Dark and Rawl. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. If she wants to kick Princess Violet out, she will, which makes it make even less sense that she came in the first place.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, then Princess Violet goes on an actual unhinged rant.
Tirade.
She says her mother says when Kaelin comes back to the castle, they'll have a surprise for her. Richard's going to be dead. Princess Violet's going to cut off Kaelin's hair. Then I'm going to have all the guards rape her. Everyone. Then I'm going to put her in the dungeon for years so they have someone to play with.
Yeah.
Then when I get tired of hurting her, I'll have her head chopped off and put it on a pole where I can watch it rot.
Uh-huh.
That's wild.
That's wild. From a 9-year-old that, as far as we know, had never made anyone bleed or something.
That's literally.
But also, who's talking about rape in front of you?
I have a lot of questions. Who's raping whom in Tamarang? In such an outward fashion that she has this, sense about it.
Yeah. Speaking about it a little too easily.
That's what I mean. So then again,
she probably is.
Is the implication then that she's obviously been sexually abused, and I do think maybe the way she was presented should have had a little bit more empathy if that was going to be your end.
Sexually abused this child. She's
what
the
does that
princess.
matter?
Who did it?
That's not the point. Somebody could do it. My point is, if he genuinely had this thing in his mind of oh, she's acting out because she's abused, just the Mord Sith. I just think we were hella mean to this girl in her characterization.
Well, we're about to get a little meaner.
Throughout the whole fucking book.
Yeah.
Jesus. I just don't know what to make of her saying such a crazy, crazy thing. In that moment, I thought this was interesting. Richard felt sorry for the princess, and the sadness came over him in a wave. So I was okay, we are at least interjecting a little bit of should we feel bad for her, empathize with her? it's so incoherent if you want me to empathize with Princess Violet or not. I don't.
Yeah.
do not feel like you ever wanted me to give a fuck about this girl.
Because this feels like the opposite of how it normally would go, right?
Yeah.
It would be like she keeps acting out and being bad, and people like Richard are like, I feel bad for this girl. Like, what the fuck's wrong with her? Like, something must have happened. But that's normally how that goes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when she goes on that tirade, that's when you snap and go, fuck this kid.
Right.
Where you're like, you know what? Probably lots of bad things have happened to her, but she's going to use her privilege and whatever to hurt people I care about. And now I have decided that's crossing the line. How much empathy can I show? But instead, it's the opposite.
I think he's being very Christ-like here.
Yeah, but where was his Christ-likeness beforehand?
No, it's
and
not
then
true.
Why is he punishing? He's like an Avenger Christ.
Because I don't know.
I feel such empathy for you. Let me kick your fucking face in, little girl.
Well,
you deserve hell.
I don't know if it was in his control. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
Well, then what was it?
I don't really know.
I feel intense sadness for the trauma and pain you must have been in. It's time for me to cut off your ear.
I'm gonna
like what?
Drop kick you.
Like full.
No, well, it's weird that he is so ready to be like Christ-like in this moment of her saying she's going to have Kaylin gang raped, but not when they like walked in and she was like mildly not deferential to her and he was like, I'm comfortable shoving my sword in your face and threatening death. But now he's like, oh, but I think, here's what I think. I think it's because he's like learning via like weird osmosis about like the impact of trauma and abuse or something. And so it's like he's starting to be like, with his time with Mistress Denna, like, oh my god, wait, maybe this can make you into like a bad person. Maybe. I'm not sure. So, but yeah, he feels that sadness. At that feeling, he's surprised to feel that thing in him that had come awake rise up.
A paragraph earlier. Surprised.
Yeah. Princess Violet squeezes her eyes shut and sticks out her tongue as far as she could, which I know is intentional to be like the juxtaposition of the crazy shit she just said versus how childlike she's being. I get it, but I don't get it because I didn't really take anything away from it. So then it was like a red flag. The strength of the awakened power exploded through him. Headshot. He could feel her jaw shatter like a crystal goblet on a stone floor when his boot came up under it. The impact of the blow lifted the princess into the air. Her own teeth severed her tongue before they too shattered. She landed on her back a good distance away, trying to scream through gushing blood. Jesus, and I can't...
This is a Mortal Kombat finisher.
...help but feel that the way Terry wrote her up until this moment, he is kind of being like, he, guys, didn't she deserve that one? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Right?
Of course. No, what do you mean, of course?
It's for audience satisfaction. And then that is incredibly incoherent with the messaging of everything else.
It is mind-boggling. It's like looking at the writing version of like a Picasso piece where like things are at like weird fucking angles and you're just like, it's all one coherent story. And it's like, it's not. It's not. Well, these are like 17 different faces you put together.
It's not a great example because the whole point of the Picasso
well, Picasso's trying to show... Yeah, whatever. No, it's like a bad Picasso. I don't know. What you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, it's like the problem
it's like
is
he doesn't understand
like
foreshortening, so like the character looks like just fucking like fucked up, and it's like he wasn't trying to do that. That's what I'm saying. All right? James drew this one.
I can't abide by like the message being like, oh, Princess Denna's mildly pedophilic or something. Forgive her. Bad things happened. And then being like, oh my god, remember that annoying fat bitch from all the other times she was doing shit we didn't like? Well,
this one's for Rachel, fam. Just play the fucking like Jackie Chan fucking like wow. Just kung fu noise. He fucking bicycle kicks her in the face with his boot.
And that's why I mean, like, I'm not feeling like we're gonna be like, oh my god, there's so much complexity here. He didn't want to do it, but he did it. Did she deserve it? Did she not? Like, let's be real. You just wanted
You made a really annoying little girl.
You wanted your audience to go hee hee ha ha. I feel so vindicated that annoying
You can't make
girl.
her be 4 or 5 different things at once.
No.
Oh, she's so annoying. All right, if you're going to do that the whole way, just do it the whole way. Whatever. Yeah, I agree. The sadness that he feels there,
yeah,
that's going to be like a magic. It's going to be like, oh, when you're feeling...
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think so.
The thing that helped him override...
He's trying to have his fucking cake and eat it too, just like the BDSM shit. He's trying to put in all the sexual tension, all the sexual feeling, get all the benefits and the boons of people being turned on by his character, and then get to turn around and go, I never did that. I didn't do that. Uh-huh. And then here he's trying to say, look, Richard had empathy in her worst moment, but also, how
is this empathetic?
He's trying to do both. He thinks he did both. He thinks he got the guffaw from the audience, but also we're being empathetic. We're exploring that, but also like funny, right?
You need more. You need more characters. The same character can't do both.
They don't go together.
They don't go together.
You can't do both. You are contradicting yourself.
It doesn't make sense.
You are absolutely leaning on the power of eroticism and then trying to turn around and like get the benefits of being like, it's more serious. I didn't do that. No, you're contradicting yourself. You're trying to
we lean on the eroticism. We claim it's a metaphor for abuse. We put kids in the mix. Oh, but it's not erotic. And then we feel really bad for this kid who potentially was molested or something.
Maybe,
and then as a response, after our empathy is felt, we destroy her face. Because the audience really hated she was mean to Rachel.
Just didn't like her because she was ugly.
She got a fat mom.
Okay.
So.
Well, she's fat and she wears too much jewelry and eats too much. So Denna looks at him and she's very like shocked. They're both kind of shocked because they both kind of have a
it's like a
sense
did
of
I
like
do that kind of moment, like fucking just like oh no.
Yeah, because they both know there should have been like a magic that stopped him from doing that.
Yeah, there should have
been. But obviously, whatever the magical
seeker gone seek, all right, he sought around.
Whatever the magic that erupted in him overrode it, right?
Yeah,
which is a big deal, I suppose. So he says to her, I warned her before. Promise made, promise kept. Thank you, Mistress Denna, for saving my life. I owe you. Which I'm sure he really will literally owe her.
Whatever.
In the future.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. The promise made, promise kept is because the last time he talked to Princess Violet, he said, if you say another bad thing about Kaylin, I'll cut your tongue out.
That's stupid.
So he cut her tongue out.
Okay, first of all, why are you saying that to Denna? She doesn't know that. Second of all...
She doesn't know. He's saying it to the audience. It's the same thing as it's the ha-ha, nod, I said it. I'm so
Denna
cool.
doesn't know what the fuck you're referring to.
Denna's like, what are you talking about? This shouldn't be possible, and I don't know what you mean. But it turns her on. Keep going.
Yeah, so... But no, Richard's telling Princess Violet to turn over, like, to make sure she doesn't choke on her blood. Again, oh, God, Jesus Christ over there himself saving her. And again, I just find it annoying because it's
Let her choke on her blood.
Well, that's not what it is incoherent with Terry's doing he's doing something where like he has plausible deniability.
Yeah.
To go like, no, I never said I wanted you to like that happened to that little girl.
I know.
And it's like, yes,
bullshit.
I can feel it, Terry.
Bullshit.
The way you're writing is so obvious that you wanted us to like it.
Yeah.
You wanted us to think it was cool. You wanted us to be
liked it. I don't believe he didn't. You wouldn't describe it in that fucking detail like that. You wouldn't give us the 24 HQ like fucking high quality like 1080p fucking shot on the inside of her mouth exploding if you didn't think it was sick.
It's true.
You're like, haha, ruin this little idiot.
Yeah.
Don't turn over. Don't choke on your blood.
Look,
just don't kick her in the face.
He gets to do both. Look at him.
Don't kick her in the face.
This king
You know what Jesus didn't do? He didn't fucking uppercut Pontius Pilate.
You mean prima donna Pilate?
Prima donna Pilate.
You mean prima donna?
He did not uppercut prima donna Pilate off the podium.
He wouldn't do that to her.
He didn't take the cat of nine tails and slap all the Jews in the street like just to get him back for hitting him. You know, he didn't have a wave of sadness and then fucking kamehameha through Jerusalem. You know.
That That's
Although,
crazy.
when I write the Bible, Bible Part 2,
No one's asking you to write the Bible.
coming out this June.
Oh my
That's
God.
my NaNoWriMo Bible 2. What if you just published a book, Bible 2.0, and you're just like, yeah, it's fucking my Jesus fic.
Oh my God.
Is this a good idea?
Isn't that the, like, King James Bible? Isn't that, like, what he did?
Yeah, but not what I'm going to do. That's what I'm
You're
saying.
doing Bible 2.0.
I'm doing Bible 2.0. See, it's got to be 3.0. Is that what you're saying? King James was 2.0?
I'm just saying he kind of did that, but...
He recycled and used...
Oh my God. If they make a movie
colloquialisms.
of it, I want Julian to star as Jesus.
I could see that.
I could see that, too.
If he's not busy, you know?
He'd look good in the role.
He'd look really good in that little...
In the loin.
the little loincloth, that dirty loincloth. Yeah, he'd look good in that.
We can't say that part.
Why not? No, Jesus.
Because the only time Jesus is wearing the loincloth is when he's getting crucified.
I think he's always wearing it. He's just got like a
he's-
cloak on over it.
He doesn't
You know?
walk around
That's
in a
just hot, man. Like, he's rocking that cloth all the time. That's what's underneath. They didn't put him in the loincloth. He was already wearing it. It was his underwear. What do you mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, I do. What do you mean?
Why do we always go on Bible rants in the very last, like, 10 minutes of the episode?
We're unhinged. I don't know what to tell you.
Holy shit.
Wait, yeah, like, all right. I'm just thinking of Bible 2.0 jokes. I don't know. I can't stop now.
You can. You can. Men come in and they carry her away.
Good.
And she closes the door. Richard dwells on...
They carry her away until chain fire. She'll be back.
She's gone for a while
She'll be
from
back.
here on
Yeah.
out.
17,000 pages later. She'll be back. All right.
Richard reflects on how Denna has a perverse sort of kindness to her, and he can sense her feelings through the Angel when she uses it on him, and he knows sometimes she's going easy on him, whatever, because she cares about him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this whole, like, reflection was actually interesting, and kind of like, if you just, again, cut out that whole thing, and we just, like, rolled into this, I would have been like, ooh, you're just still, like, filling out all the lore and the complexity of this dynamic and everything. So it just feels so weird to just go from the insanity that was that right into this now. Like, we're back to having nuance. We're back to having interesting ideas.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. Are you sure? I don't know.
You
know?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. What's...
Oh, God.
Yeah. Like, he knew it was insane, but he understood there were times she felt... this is kind of what we talked about before.
Yeah.
There were times she felt she was sharing her feelings for him by doing her worst. He knew, too, tonight she was going to do her worst. So then, like, yeah, she's all horny now.
Yeah.
Which, I get being horny about the idea of, like, Richard being powerful.
Yes.
Just would have loved to have had her get horny about that in any other context than...
No, literally.
breaking the jaw of a child.
Even if that was the reason, had everything before that not happened, that would be better too.
Sure. Yeah, right.
If he dropkicked Princess Violet with no context,
honestly,
was just like...
this would be reinforced and much cooler if Mistress Denna had kept being like, no, this is sacred, you cannot come in here, get the fuck out of here, little girl, you're not involved. And then, like, say she snuck in, right? And, like, against Mistress Denna's wishes and started doing shit to him. And then Mistress Denna comes in and sees Richard fucking kick her in the mouth.
Yeah.
Then she could be horny about it because
Sure.
she's like, oh, wow, you, like, handled that. And
That would have been
you're
better
so
because
powerful.
you get to do the weird pedophilia shit that you wanted to do anyway,
get a
and
little
you
bit
get
of
to
that.
preserve Mistress Denna.
Correct.
That would have been
was
great.
so
Yeah.
easy.
Or, delete the file that had Princess Violet's entire character and just remove her from the plot. That could have been good.
I would love that, personally. Yeah. So...
Time machine.
She says, you are a very rare person, Mr. Cypher. Master Rahl warned me about you.
Did he? Why? Okay.
That the prophecies speak of you.
Okay, so he knows he's the Seeker then. Or he knows he has the book in his head and he's just a woods guy.
That
Either
was
way.
Quite exciting. I have decided to have you as my mate. Again, we are giving Princess Violet... So, like, she's like, oh, are you impressed, Princess Violet? Oh, you kicked a little girl. Oh.
That was quite exciting.
I guess it's actually that.
You mega kicked a child.
Like the actual impressiveness of it was that he overrode the magic to do so.
Sure.
Less so than the kick.
He caused a lot of pain, so they love that.
Or her breath is quickening, and she's like right in front of his face. And Richard's like trying to access the power that let him override the magic, but he doesn't have access to it anymore. Denna seemed to be in the grip of something he didn't understand, as if she were trying to summon the courage to do something, fearing it, yet anxiously wanting it. Her breath is quickening, her chest heaving as she looked into his eyes, and he realizes suddenly that she's very attractive.
Wow.
Breathtakingly, stunningly attractive.
Hot girls. Hot girl right now. I wish I liked her anymore.
It's hard to like her after it all, but
we're going to try.
We're going to pretend it didn't
happen. For you, dear listener.
And then we'll, 2
pages of whiteout dumped on my brain. Here we are.
So
hot makeout.
She slowly puts the angel between her teeth. He could tell by the way her pupils suddenly expanded it was hurting her. Her skin paled, she inhaled sharply and trembled. So she puts her fingers into the back of his hair, holds his head, and she brings her lips to his, and they just start making out with the pain of the angel
between them.
Yeah. And it is a good imagery of like connecting through this pain in some
it's very charged. This moment, and it's well written, it's intense, once again, barring what just happened, and it's like a little romantic, a little sexy.
Yes, it is.
It's a little it's a little sad.
Yes,
it's got a lot in it.
I like it.
I wish I could have enjoyed it more, but here we are.
Her kiss was savage, bestial as she twisted against him. They're both like moaning. She's pulling his hair. They're both blacking out from the pain, but like enmeshed in this kiss together. And he writes it again. Well, he's back to being a good writer. Everybody.
Suddenly, here we are. Yeah.
It's good. And
he's good.
He's so good. And without comprehending why, he found himself kissing her back just as passionately, just as savagely. He never kissed anyone with this kind of lust. Desperately, he wanted her to stop. Desperately, he didn't. Here's where, you're like getting that pain pleasure thing again.
We're on the cortex of it. We're pushing.
He's getting really into this. I get it. It sounds like horrible and appealing at the same time.
Yeah. This is very Hellraiser. We're getting into that feeling.
Then he does feel the power that lets him override the magic. It wells up in him again, but then it goes away, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, why in
the breadcrumbs
moment did it do that? But I was curious to know why.
I have an answer, I think.
Do you want to say it, or?
I just think that it's the power of connection and empathy.
Oh, like love?
No, I think it's...
Oh, sorry.
He feels bad for her. I think sharing in her trauma right now, which is what it's kind of like the metaphoric example of.
Yeah.
Like, to love me hurts this bad. Like, that kind of thing, because this is what I've gone through. He starts to feel this magical, like, that's the depth of your pain. I feel terrible that you had to go through that. I think it has something to do with that.
Why did it well up?
For Princess Violet?
Yeah.
Because I think it's what we said. I think he can kind of sense, like, oh, she's twisted. And there's
so
probably
it welled up to allow him to eviscerate her face?
Yeah. That is what I don't get.
That makes no sense.
Well, there's a lot of things that haven't made sense.
I thought it
so
was
far.
welling up because the power of his love for Kaylin was being provoked.
So then what's this?
More love.
More love. And hot makeout pain or drop kicking children. It's one or the other, I always say that.
Yeah, me too. She hooks a leg around his and is clinging to him. I like the idea of them becoming so like intensely enmeshed physically.
Yeah. And this is while he's hanging too, right? So he's hanging, she's got the hair, she's like kind of riding him.
I like that.
Yeah, it's hot.
Richard wants to hold her. I thought that was nice
sad.
and interesting. Yeah, like that was his feelings during. Like he's clearly like, again, the lust is all there.
That's a thing too, because he wants to do the role the right way. He wants to be the protector. He wants to like enmesh her in this love that he's feeling. But because of her actions and the way she's doing things and the situation, she doesn't get that. You know what I mean? It's not a real
she's keeping herself from
that tenderness. Yeah.
They have this like moment then, like he's about to lose consciousness. She pulls away from him. She's like right in his face, and she rolls the angel into her mouth with her tongue and holds it with her teeth as she shakes with pain as if to show him she's stronger than him, which I was like, whoa, that is badass.
Very
and cool
yeah,
as
very,
fuck.
very, very
Jesus.
cool. Yeah.
She takes the angel out of her mouth and her eyes roll back into her head and she gasps for air. And it's very like orgasmic.
Shaking with pain and something else, I think is the exact words.
She gives him a normal kiss and he's like shook by how tender it feels, which I like, again, it's stuff that I find easy to imagine. I'm like, yeah, I could so see that feeling.
Yeah.
And she says, we are bonded in the pain of the angel. And she apologizes for what she's going to do to him now that he's her mate.
Okay.
Then Richard like does a Hail Mary where he's like, I'll stay with you forever and love you forever if you just help me kill Dark and Rahl, which...
Weird pitch.
Give it a go, I guess.
Yeah.
So here's where she lore drops her trauma. And I don't understand why she does it in response to him saying that.
Like, I'm not really sure. It feels like a square.
He does that a lot. Someone will ask a question and somebody else will answer by just giving information he wanted you to know that did not answer the question.
No.
I'm trying to understand, like being like, why will you please help me kill Dark and Rahl? And then she's like, when I was a child.
I think it's more to show just how deep her commitment to this whole thing is.
Maybe
like,
that's
that's the only thing I can see.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? Your training is gonna last like a few weeks, and then you're gonna die. Mine was done to me for years. Everything I'm doing to you has been done to me 1,000 times over. Amortitha must know her angel better than she knows herself. Which again, why then are you handing it out all willy-nilly to the children? It sounds intimate, okay? And
it is intimate.
my first trainer took me for his mate when I was 15 after he trained me since I was 12. There's
Gross.
no way I could ever live up to his cruelty, blah, blah, blah. He trained me until I was 18 when I killed him. For that, I was punished with the angel every day for the next 2 years. This angel, the very same one I use on you, was the one used to train me. It was presented to me when I was proclaimed Lord Sith. I live for nothing else but to use it. Okay, but the fact that, like, again, he says, Mistress Denna, I'm so sorry. So that plus the way she presented it, even including the information of he trained me and then I murdered him, suggests she's even like, obviously there's something bad about this, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we need to hear more about, like, all right, so how do you conceptualize
it?
murdering the person who trained you?
I need to know. But I am like, it doesn't necessarily line up terribly well with the... And that's why I loved involving Princess Violet. It doesn't really...
No, we need more. We need more.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get it.
Maybe we'll get that.
Yeah, he's sorry. She's like, you will be. Being my mate does not, like, help you at all. You're actually just going to get a lot more pain than you could have before. And it's like, once again, it's like, what are the levels here? But all right.
Yeah, so then she's like, why did you, like, kick that girl? Surely you must know I'm going to, like, punish you for it. And then he's like, well, what difference does it make? You're gonna hurt me anyway.
And he's fucking right.
I know. And then he's like, I can't imagine what else you could do. And then she says, oh, my love, you have a very limited imagination, which, like, kind of goes back to our point about sticking it in his butthole.
And here we go.
And so, right, in a way he does, because we thought of it right away.
Yep.
And she was like, I didn't even stick it in your butthole yet.
Facts.
Yeah.
She didn't stick in his butthole yet.
So yeah, then she takes his belt off. And it's time we found some new places on you to hurt. It's time to see what you are really made of. So yeah, the implication for sure, because she's like, thank you, my love, for giving me the excuse to do this to you. I've never before done it to another, but it's been done to me enough times. It is what broke me when I was 14. So I guess that implies penetration with the angel. So for sure, going in his butthole. But yeah. I think it's implied that, like, she's probably gonna use it on the balls and the
too. Yeah, absolutely.
As well.
And if the ear felt crazy,
right?
What are the nuts gonna feel like?
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's what I'm trying
Richard
to say.
should have been like, God, I'm so lucky that she has yet to put it on my penis.
It seems so weird she hasn't hit me in my most sensitive areas yet.
For real. But she says, tonight, neither of us is going to get any sleep. Yeah, so, like, do they fuck? I'm not sure.
I think so. I think it's probably... Well, I don't know.
But
You hit me in the prostate with the angel. I'm not lasting very long. I'm just saying that. I'm nutting. I ain't fucking nobody.
No, I guess not.
What's going to happen?
No, you're going to nut.
I'm going to nut.
Yeah.
Or die. It's one or the other.
For sure. Well, yeah, you'd think that this might, like, if putting it in the ear might make you, like, unable to walk or talk.
Yeah, what if you jerk when it's in your ass? Like,
you'd
what
think
happens?
if it goes in your ass, your, like, dick might be out of commission for the rest of your life.
Well, we can't have that.
But you'd think that might happen, right?
I would think, yeah. I don't know. Maybe the ear is connected to the brain. The butthole's not connected to anything other than... Well, your intestines. I don't know.
Your
stuff.
colon.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would just, like, burst the prostate open, quite frankly.
We don't want that.
No.
No. You jerk and you just nut. You just keep... You say, like, oh. Figured out this one cheap trick.
How many nuts he's got in him?
That's what she's trying to find out. Seeker, how many nuts do you have? Like, we're
So,
going to
yeah,
find how many nuts you got.
I don't know if they're having sex. Maybe we'll get, like, a hint, yes or no, in the following chapter.
I think so, yeah. Very excited to read it.
This is bad for Richard.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound good. And yes, it's obviously upsetting that she was sexually
Taking his belt buckle off, yeah.
Sexually abused at 14, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we had more energy and time to get into this, but I don't think we do. Maybe we'll start the next episode dwelling on the plight of Mistress Denna a bit.
After having read more stuff, I'm just excited to get.
I know. It's been a while since we read a new chapter.
Almost 2 months in this one, so.
Yes, I'm excited tonight to read it.
And Princess Violet will be gone until Chainfire, so that's fantastic.
That's great
gone.
News. That's good news.
No more kids to kick in the face, hopefully. With that,
okay,
we love you guys.
Yeah,
we don't like that part of chapter 41.
For the content.
Yeah,
but we're through.
We're through. We made it out the other side. Unlike Richard. Tune in next time. Bye.
Bye.